the land of Idu Kingdom reigned a king called Eze Idu number 1. He has ruled his kingdom for over 20 years, but one thing has made him an unhappy man. He was yet to have an heir to his throne. All his wives gave birth to girls. In his desperation to have a male child, he married to more women. In fact, every day and week in Idu Noba Palace, the cry of a newborn was heard. But it was the same story, the same report that gripped the heart of the king. Ọmụrụ gịnị o? Ọmụrụ nwanyị o? Meaning, what did she born? She gave birth to a girl, the midwife will respond. At some point, the king began to drive away his wives who has given birth to girls twice for him and replaced them with new women. This continued until one day, a slave girl shared the king's bed and became pregnant. The king's legitimate wives taunted her, called her a dog who ate from the place where the real children should eat. They spat at her each time she passed. So 9 months later, she went into labor. No one paid attention to her, including the king. This is because labor and birth was not strange in his palace anymore. It has happened over multiple score times. So like others, she was sent with the midwife and the co-wives to the bush to deliver her child. Luckily, the slave girl gave birth and it was a male child. Out of joy, the midwife left the newborn with the king's head wife, Lolo Idu, ran home to share the good news with the king. Before Lolo returned with the child, Eze Idu Noba has declared the great feast for the newborn child. He has also named him Eze Idu. When Lolo Idu returned with the child, the slave girl was not with them. She was asked about her whereabouts, but she told them how she experienced heavy bleeding. Immediately the midwife left them, and she tried to help her, but she died on their way home. But this is what really happened. The embittered co-wife had kicked the slave girl severely on her stomach when the midwife left. The slave girl began to bleed and pleaded with her to save her life, but she kicked her harder and harder until she passed on. Did Lolo Idu stop there? No. On her way home, she branched to the farm. She plucked dry alligator pepper. She chewed them and spilled them on the eyes of the newborn baby boy. And when she handed the baby over to the king noticed his eyeballs were abnormal. They were bulged out with white bubbles covering them. When he asked why the baby's eyes looked that way, "My king lives forever. He was born blind," she responded. "Hello, hello, abomination." The crowd at the feast cried and began to disperse, all with sad faces. The king's firstborn and the son must not be born blind. He must be thrown in the evil forest. And so everyone believed Idu was born blind. Because of the superstitions of his people, he was thrown into the evil forest as a baby, left to die. It was a taboo for the first son of a king to be born blind. But fate had other plans for him. He survived, growing into a strong and handsome young man despite his blindness. Deep in the heart of the forest, he met a beautiful fairy maiden named Apenau, whose name meant she must not be touched by the sun or fire. Apenau was no ordinary woman. She was a spirit blessed with beauty of the human beyond words, and kindness that melted the coldest heart. She took pity on Ezidu, sneaking food from her spirit mother to feed him every day. But when Apenau's mother discovered what she had been doing, she was furious.
You are a spirit and is a mere mortal. You must not mix with his kind.
She warned, but Apenau had already fallen in love. When she overheard her mother plotting to kill Ezeidu, she knew she had to act fast. That night, Apenau made a bold decision. She took one of her younger brother's extra eyes and removed one of her own extra eyes too. They were endowed with 3 extra eyes. One of the eyes is the spirit's eyes to read the mind of others. So out of love, she gave Ezeidu her spiritual eyes and that of her brother. The reason is she didn't want her brother to catch her up with her plan and report her to their mother. And secondly, she wanted Ezeidu to be very powerful when he shall return to his people. With trembling hands, she placed the borrowed eyes in Ezeidu's empty eye socket. And for the first time in his life, Ezeidu could see. His heart leaped with joy, but nothing compared to the sight of Apenau herself. She was the most breathtakingly beautiful woman he had ever seen. Hand in hand, they fled the evil forest and made their way to the land of men. Guided by Apenau's spirit senses, they found their way to Ezeidu's father's kingdom. The king, Ezeidu Noba, Ezeidu's father, had passed on few market days ago, and there was no heir to take over the throne from him. So, amidst the confusion and the helplessness in the Idu kingdom, Apenau and Ezeidu returned. When the people saw their lost prince now with sight, they were amazed. Without hesitation, they crowned him their king to sit on the empty throne of his late father and rule the land with his beautiful lord, Apenau. But before they left the forest, Apenau had only 2 requests of Ezeidu. Promise me you will never make me cry, for my tears will flood the earth. My tears will make an auction. And promise me that you will never let me go under the sun or near fire. Apenau pleaded with Ezeidu. Ezeidu swore on his life. He vowed to cherish her and reward her for standing by him during his darkest days, in the evil forest. But promises made in joy, they say, are often forgotten in comfort. Did Eze-Idu keep his promises? No. Rather, he became a womanizer when he became the king, sleeping with every maiden on his way and getting married to different women every day. As time passed, power got to Eze-Idu's head the more. He became arrogant and reckless, indulging in every pleasure that came his way. He took new wives constantly, each one more beautiful than the last, until he no longer paid attention to Apunahu. The woman who had saved him became just another member of his harem. The woman who gave him the sight to see, the fairy that fed him and saved him in the evil forest, became just an ordinary wife. No more regard for Apunahu. So one day, during a grand feast, Eze-Idu decided to show off the beauty of all his wives to his people, to the world, to the friends that gathered. He ordered all his queens to line up in the palace courtyard under the scorching afternoon sun for everyone to admire. But Apunahu was not seen. She refused to appear. Apunahu pleaded, "My king, please, you promised me. I cannot stand under the sun." But Eze-Idu, drunk with pride and power, dismissed her fears. "You are my wife. You will obey me," he thundered. Heartbroken but obedient, Apunahu stepped into the sunlight. The moment the sun touched her skin, a powerful transformation began. Her body turned limpid and transparent, her beautiful shining fair skin melting like wax of a light candle. A golden liquid streamed from her eyes and skin, flowing faster and faster until she became nothing but a river of oil, slipping through the palace ground and into the wilderness. The crowd gasped in horror. The king rushed to grab her, but she was already gone. She did not go alone. She went with all she came with. The two special eyes, the two eyes that gave the king his sight, melted also and flows down from the eye socket of Eze-Idu, joining the stream of the golden oil of Apunahu. "Somebody help me! I cannot see. I can see darkness everywhere. Where is Apunahu?" The king cried in regret. His voice thundered, echoed through the palace. For days, Eze-Idu searched the kingdom, calling her name, but Apunahu was lost forever. All that remained was a small oil stream deep in the forest, glistening under the sun. Eze-Idu fell into deep sorrow, realizing too late the treasure he had lost. The kingship was taken from him because a blind cannot be the leader of people with full sight. From that day on, the land of his kingdom was never the same. Some say that the oil from Apna still flows in the forest, and that whoever finds it will receive great wisdom, but only if their heart is pure. The lessons from the story. Number one, power and pride can make one forget their promises. Two, true love and kindness should not be taken for granted. Three, some blessings once lost can never be regained. And the last, obedience to spiritual warnings can prevent great disaster. Thank you for listening. Please share our story and comment.